Welcome all who have found themselves watching this specific channeling at this specific point in time. The message coming through today will be from Erpa, from the Galactic Council, a representative of the Arcturian Collective. Today, we wish to speak about the role of channeling when it comes to extraterrestrial contact and disclosure. As previously explained in a video that was uploaded a couple of weeks ago, extraterrestrials, or the idea of the extraterrestrial, is a bit of a misconception. Both spiritual and extraterrestrial beings are interdimensional beings. Therefore, any work that is done to contact the extraterrestrial is of equal nature as the work done to contact spiritual beings. In other words, you could say that prayer can be useful in both contacting your more godly aspects of self as well as angelic forces, but also extraterrestrials, if you wish to term them that. However, once again, extraterrestrial and spiritual beings all are but interdimensional creatures, energies, beings, personas, and collectives. So what is the role of channeling when it comes to ET contact or interdimensional disclosure? You will come across many channels in this platform called YouTube or other platforms that speak as representatives of specific extraterrestrial races or even different species. We note that it is of great joy to us to see such a large diversity of individuals willing to speak our words and share our knowledge with humankind in this day and age. So as extraterrestrial or interdimensional disclosure becomes normal in your society, as all layers of fear are stripped away, laying bare the layers of curiosity and hope, we would like to say that to those who choose to channel our messages, we give our greatest love and appreciation. We also give caution to those who choose to listen to individuals who are channeling ET or interdimensional messages from species that are in other dimensions of frequency, different from yours. Our caution is to approach these channels and these individuals with curiosity rather than with judgment. We understand that some of you have very strong opinions about what a specific ET race behaves like or looks like. But understand that in interdimensional worlds, the tangibility of who we are is much more fluid than what you are used to here on Earth. Here on Earth, everything is heavy. Change takes forever, quote unquote. And what you see in front of you is pretty much what it is, without the fluidity of changing from one second to the other. You get a glimpse of that in water. Water being able to change quite rapidly from gas to fluid to solid, depending on the environmental conditions. Now imagine that fluidity in existing points, but 20 to 30 times over in terms of speed and radical change. And that is not even coming close to the fluidity of the existence of ET and interdimensional races out there. So when some of you insist that the Arcturians only speak a certain way, only behave a certain way, can only be channeled a certain way, we caution with wisdom to take back some of your judgments and to be more open to the fluidity of the universe. We see that some of you hold great judgment towards individuals who claim to channel, for instance, the Pleiadian collective. Many of these individuals being of fairy-like behaviors or qualities, giggling, laughing, sometimes even behaving erratically or maniacally. And we wish to say that just because you do not agree with how a certain collective or ET race is being channeled does not necessarily mean that whatever is channeled is incorrect. However, we also are not of the opinion that you must be able to listen to all Arcturian channelers if you are someone who's interested in Arcturian messages. No, in fact, once again, in accordance with the law of attraction, find those channelers that bring greatest peace and joy to your inner beings. And if you find or come across some that you disagree with, that you find cringy, over enthusiastic, too actor-like, you do not have to listen to what they say. But also please do not judge them, for you all are on your journey to receiving the messages that come from the ET and interdimensional beings. So it is with great joy that we see a rise in interest in the ET and interdimensional messages being spoken through these channelers. It is with great joy that we see the sales of books going up that were channeled in the last 40 to 50 years. And we appreciate this curiosity because it shows your readiness to see and perceive more than what you have so far. As disclosure becomes more normal in your society, channelers will grow in numbers. In fact, if you want to experiment with channeling, feel free to do so. Feel free to find ways to communicate with us. For any effort to communicate with us in the extraterrestrial and interdimensional realms will be answered with more of our presence and more of our visitations. The beauty of your Earth and where humanity's evolution stands now is that our visitations will be unstoppable and innumerable as the next 5 to 20 years go by. Does that mean that every single human will unquestionably understand the reality that ETs/interdimensional beings exist? That you are not the only species in the universe? No, some will deny until the very end. But again, we caution to not judge those, for even they walk the journey of lesson collection. And if there was not a contrast of individuals who deny the existence of interdimensional species, you would not have the motivation to explore the interdimensional nature of humanity either. It is the counterforce that ensures that your preferred force stays alive and vibrating with vitality. This is the nature of the dual polarity that humanity experiences on Earth. Every force requires a counterforce. Every action requires a reaction. They are both one and the same, two sides of the same coin. So while it can be very hard and painful to experience this duality, to experience resistance and anti-resistance, we wish to tell you that everything works in your favor. Everything is working in humanity's favor. It may not look so, but it sure is. And do you know why? Because multitudes of species have their healing hands directed towards this planet. Because millions of souls that you would consider extraterrestrial gaze with great investment lovingly upon the university that is Earth. We are not helpless beings. We have not been kept from showing ourselves. We are sovereign and very much aware of what the timing requires of us. When humanity becomes more readily available to seeing its interdimensional nature, we will come through more and more so, as many of you have already experienced. It is all in its right timing. There is no rush, even though many of you say there is rush. We repeat, there is no rush. Please note that rather than imposing and forcing truth to be disclosed upon all, humanity must tap into its own sense of responsibility for self. Humanity must become accountable for its own actions and what it has done to this earth and to each other. The best way to do so is when each individual person chooses to take responsibility for their own lives. When they choose to love instead of hate, when they choose to accept instead of just tolerate, when they choose to stop resisting, when they choose peace over war. In your personal lives, when you choose to forgive instead of hold bitterness. In your own lives, when you choose to take control over your own health instead of giving your bodies over to hospital systems and doctors who do not know better. That is not to say that you all must rebel and destroy existing institutions. It just means that you do what you can for yourself. And when you do that, each and every individual, that movement creates a mass wave of consciousness rising, a rising to meet us, coming down from the many heavens and dimensions across this universe. The reality is, these channeled messages are simply here to help you remind you who you are and what power lies within you. We extraterrestrial and interdimensional beings wish to welcome and embrace humanity, a humanity that is aware of its power, a humanity that does no longer see itself as the victim of elites, of governments, of corrupt leaders. No, we wish to encounter humanity when it has glimpsed its own freedom and its own power to become whole and worthy. We choose to not rescue humanity because that would miss the point of you learning the lessons you must learn, appreciating who you are, learning to love humanity as a whole. If we rescued you out of the misery of this process, we would break the law of non-interference, gravely injuring the maturation process of humanity. We do not wish to do this. So we encourage you once again, the timeline is in your hands. We are willing, we are happy, we are excited, we look forward to meeting you all more openly, more publicly. But we cannot do so until a large portion of humanity has taken responsibility for their own lives, for their own livelihoods, for their own emotions, their own mental health, and their own physical health. Please take care of yourselves. Please find ways to be genuinely, authentically who you are. Find ways to stop people pleasing. Find ways to bring more peace and rest into your lives. When you do so, you help humanity get closer to full integration of extraterrestrial and interdimensional species, becoming part of the galactic whole. Thank you for your patience and your perseverance. We say our goodbyes.